Hello everybody, Dokkan Assets here. Today we are back with another Dragon Ball figure news video. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been quite a while since I've uploaded on this channel, 2 weeks in fact. How are y'all doing? I really apologize for the lack of uploads on this channel. I have had a bunch of stuff going on in real life that has been taking me out of content creation, and besides that, when it comes to content creation, I've been doing a ton of content on my DBZ Assets channel, my original content for Dokkan channel. And not only have I not had as much time to dedicate to this channel, but I haven't been as motivated for this channel, if I'm being 100% honest with you. I just hasn't been feeling it too much lately, but I want to get back into the swing of things, and not to mention, I have been working on and am going to continue working on the top 5 best and worst figures of the year. So expect those videos by the end of the month. And I apologize that there hasn't been any figure unboxings. Trust me though, there will be some coming up this year. I am literally looking at about 7 figures sitting on my bed that I got in the mail at the beginning of the year, so look forward to that. However, of course, let's get into today's video, of course, that being our bi-weekly Dragon Ball figure news. Now, of course, because I have not been here in a little bit, it has actually been technically 4 weeks because the video from 2 weeks ago I did not actually do. So we are going to cover that stuff in this video, excuse me, in that video, the video that doesn't exist, that's right. So we will kind of speed through it, and obviously some of the stuff that we'll be talking about in the breaking news videos as well that I've already been done, excuse me, right? So a couple of these things, if you watch those videos, right, you'll be able to see my thoughts in more detail in those. But obviously, I always like to give a general summary in these videos by just kind of going over it super quickly and not talking too much in depth, especially when we have this much. And to be honest, this isn't too bad. This is kind of just like a heavy week or a heavy 2-week span, to be honest with you. There just wasn't a ton of news these past 2 weeks, so kind of piling it up looks like a figure news video where we just have a lot more packed into 2 weeks. So let's go ahead and go over everything that we missed, haven't talked about yet, let's get into it, bro. So of course, starting us off here, we have the SH Figuarts Broly from Dragon Ball Super Hero. We learned that this figure obviously existed through the various different events that were held with SH Figuarts figures on display this year. And of course, in a classic premium Bandai move, they decided to make this figure a premium Bandai exclusive. Of course, this guy just being a retool and a reuse of the original Dragon Ball Super Broly. That guy obviously having the armor for the top half of his design, and of course this guy having the black shirt, but the legs are literally the same. Like, it's literally just the same figure when it comes to the legs. Obviously he does come with the different head, of course a little bit of hands, and not to mention he does come with an extra head for Gohan. I really don't know how to feel about this. Excuse me, I'm getting choked up. Hold on, let me take a drink of water real quick. Because, like, they really like doing this, including all these extra heads for Gohan and other characters. I think it's a bit of a strange choice, to be honest with you. I don't really know. Oh, this is a Borley, yeah, or yeah, Bully, or what, however you would pronounce this. But they had the misspelling there. Is it there too? No, it's not. Okay. But yeah, this guy being 70 bucks, I think is kind of a ridiculous ask, if I'm being honest with you. The thing that is really unfortunate about this figure, though, is that this is probably the cheapest that you're going to get it for from Premium Bandai, because I'm sure once this guy releases, he will go up in price a lot. And not to mention, it's still 10 bucks shipping on Premium Bandai, so this guy's going to run you 80 or more, which is really unfortunate. I would still like to get this guy because I really want all the Superhero SH Figuarts figures, but, like, man, this is a bit of a rough one, I'm going to be honest. I don't know why this isn't an over-the-counter release, because people love Broly. It's so confusing to me why they would make this more of a limited figure. I don't really get it. Anyway, moving on. By the way, of course, I gotta say, shout out to dbzfigures.com, the GOATs, as always, keeping it down with the summaries of the Dragon Ball news for figures. We do have some pre-orders for the figures that we took a look at in the breaking news video about this Gohan Beast, which we will take a look at some more images of those figures coming up here later in the Twitter shenanigans. But if you would like to pre-order this guy, or any of these other figures, you can do so on Big Bad Toy Store right now. Keep in mind, they are for the increased price of $26.99. This is just the cost of prize figures now. Unfortunately, they've been going up and up and up throughout the years. But if you would like to pre-order them through Big Bad Toy Store, you can. I'm sure that there are other sites that have them, but Big Bad Toy Store is always good about having pre-orders up as soon as you can, basically physically get them up there. So any of these figures that we talked about, and again, we'll take a look at the more detailed versions of these shots later, you can pre-order there. And I will say, Big Bad Toy Store, I mean, it should be obvious, but they're a very reputable site. I've used them multiple times, and I think that they're really, really good. Okay, so moving on, for the week of December 19th, we did have a Dragon Ball news. Of course, we do get this, I believe it's every week. And for this one, they did show off the Dragon Ball Adverge figures for Superhero, which we will take a look at here in a second. Don't worry, that's coming up. And for this video, we actually had one of the people who is the main contributors, I guess you would say, to working on SH Figure Arts figures, talk about the brand new Broly. He basically just went over him in the video, gave some little bit of information. Oh yeah, the phone case, you can actually buy Piccolo's phone case for the iPhone SE, which is pretty funny. But yeah, just kind of went over Broly a little bit. Obviously, I don't want to show you the video because, copyright. But obviously, I'll leave links to the site in the description below if you want to check it out for yourself. But very, very cool on that one. And here we go. So we have the Dragon Ball Adverge figures now for Superhero. Before we actually take a look at the price and all that type of stuff, let's go ahead and take a look at the actual images. First of all, we did have this image of the three boys here. And we actually had some more high quality production images from these. These look really cool, to be honest with you. I actually think that these look pretty sick, if I'm being honest with you. Look at him, bro. Gohan Beast. I love these little, production images that they do where they sort of give them, a little bit more pizzazz, I guess you would say, right? They kind of make them more, I don't know, I guess just, a scene from the movie rather than just being the white background. I really like the white background for these because this is just okay, this is what the figure looks like without any crazy effects or editing. But this is kind of sick, I'm not gonna lie. I know it's very simple and it looks like kind of a goofy edit, but I think it's pretty cool if I'm being honest with you. But yeah, so these three guys right here, they're going to be in a set together. Orange Piccolo, Cell Max, and the boy Fat Gotenks. Unfortunately, as you can see, Baggy lists that this is a 8,800 yen pickup. Yikes! That is basically around 90 bucks. Maybe more with the exchange of yen, maybe more 87, I would say. So that is kind of wild. And, unfortunately, because obviously this is, being released outside Japan, and sometimes Big Bad Toy Store does up the prices of these things, you can see that on Big Bad Toy Store it is going to be 114 bucks. If you really want these guys, right, because this is going to be a set, right? Usually these sets are pretty big, and it's kind of a thing where you could buy one out of the set at a store that would have these. I think you have to buy these altogether. Don't quote me on that because I'm not positive on it, but obviously these are bigger than regular Dragon Ball Adverge figures, right? If we go down here, you can see that Cell Max is 6 inches tall, Piccolo is 5.7, and Gotenks is 2.16. Gotenks is a lot closer to the regular size of the actual Dragon Ball Adverge figures, so obviously for Dragon Ball Adverge, these figures are pretty big, right? All things considered. Obviously, they're not actually big, but they're still pretty big considering what the line usually has, right? So that's why they're so expensive, even though I don't especially think that they're worth that price there for the 115. Or really do I think that they're worth the, 8,800 yen, but they are still cool. I would like to get my hands on them at some point, and it's always cool, to get more superhero stuff, because obviously we are lacking a lot in that department right now. So it is nice to get merch in any capacity. Definitely excited for those guys for sure. I'm excited to see some in-person pictures of them as well. That is what I'm really curious to see. I figured I'd throw these in here just because they're on dbzfigures.com. We have a brand new line of Funko Pops, and these actually look pretty sick, I'm not gonna lie. I know not everybody is into Funko Pops, but I thought this was a pretty cool set that it was definitely worth pointing out. We have Rose with the Scythe as just a normal figure. That's really shocking. I'm so surprised that they didn't decide to make this guy like a store exclusive or something like that. We have Shirtless Jiren, full power Jiren. I'm definitely going to get that to go with my MUI Goku, because I hunted for that MUI Goku for so long, and now he's so common. We have Kale in base form. We have Shin, and this one I am also so shocked is just a common figure. We have Spirit Sword Trunks, which actually looks really cool. Not only is he holding the Spirit Sword, but obviously he also has the little effect on the bottom there with rising forward. So that is pretty cool. I'm shocked that they decided to make that the exclusive. What does that say there? Jumbo. Oh, okay. So there's just going to be a giant version of Rose. Interesting. But yeah, pretty cool. These guys release in February 2023 and will run you the normal Funko price of about $12.99. At least Funko Pops really haven't gone up. They may have been $11.99 in the past, and now they're $12.99, but like, they've stayed pretty consistently priced for the average store price for a while, which is very nice. Alright, so we have the Jump Festa 2023 report. I will say, it's always very weird because with Jump Festa, they technically call the end of the year one the one for next year, because I guess it's supposed to be like what's coming out next year. That's kind of the idea, right? But it's still weird because it takes place in the year prior. However, you know, it's called Jump Festa 2023, even though it happened in 2022. But obviously, if you're unaware, Jump Festa is basically the big Shonen Jump Festival at the end of the year. There is some other companies that attend, as you can see here. Bandai Namco Entertainment, Capcom, and Square were also there. But yeah, they've been having this festival for a long time. And they did have some pictures on the official Dragon Ball website. Now, the pictures that really pertain to us are these, right? They had the Bandai and Bandai Spirits booth. Why these pictures are so tiny, right? I have no idea. And if we even open these in like a new tab, they're not any bigger, right? And if we zoom in, the quality is just going to be dog water, right? You can kind of tell what some of this is. Obviously, this is the new spec figurized standard Goku there. But thankfully, even though this site has these really small photos, right, you can see that the new Ichiban Kuji set was on display. We have the boy Broly, who is also there too. You can see that the SH Figuarts was packed with the Namek figures. The new, interesting that they put Super Saiyan Goku there. Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta was on display. Obviously, the new Vegeta and Trunks that got shown. Of course, Pan, right? The funny phone case again. Obviously, the Dragon Ball Average figures were there, and the DXF figures. And we do have actually some IRL pictures of these guys, which is funny enough what I was saying I wanted to see. The Grandista line, and you're probably thinking, well, this is all great, but I can barely see any of this, right? Because obviously it's so far away. Oh yeah, and also they announced that Sandland was like an actual animation, which is pretty cool. I'm excited to see that. We did get some close-ups from some people who were at the event, thankfully. So, here is the booth with the upcoming Ichiban Kuji figures. Why they put these guys in here with the STBH pack cards and the wafer stickers, I have no idea. But here is some finals of the Goku and the Gohan. So, excuse me. Sorry, I just woke up like a couple hours ago, or an hour ago rather. Your boy sleepy. Me. Anyway, Goku, I still think he looks awkward as the day that he was shown, personally, right? Like, I know even in this form in the anime, he's kind of supposed to look that way. Like, it's this weird, bulky form that, like, doesn't really fit Goku, and, you know, he understands it. It's not really, like, the best form to use or whatever, but I still think that this figure just doesn't look that great. I think proportionally, his head looks very weird compared to the rest of his body. And I feel like he just looks way too stiff, in my opinion. I think that's kind of how I feel about him. Gohan, ironically enough, I actually think looks better than the original images. At least from this angle, I think he looks pretty good. He's not too bulky, but that definitely fits for this version of the character. And then we had King Cold and Frieza there, with Gohan in the background, and of course this very goofy arm Piccolo. I don't know what they were doing with the pose for that guy. Definitely a bit of a strange choice. And we have some of the smaller prizes, it looks like, which I guess are coasters. These are pretty cool though. Obviously some older Dragon Ball art. I like this thing from the BUU saga, this little image of all the different faces of the characters. I've seen that a couple times. That is pretty cool. Yeah, King Cold and Mecha Frieza honestly don't look too bad, to be honest with you. I don't really think Gohan even himself looks too bad necessarily. I do think something is a little weird about his face. Like his lips look a little bit weird, and also I feel like the way his head is tilted is also a little bit strange. But the body looks good. I do think, is this like off center? Did the person just not put it on there, or like correctly, or is it just like tilted like that? Maybe it's just the angle of the picture. Here is the Mecha Frieza and King Cold close up there. I like the detail that they included on Frieza, even though it does still kind of looks a little bit simplistic. And then of course King Cold also looks pretty good. I don't think these guys are like too crazy, right? They just look good. They're not figures that really blow me away. They just don't look like, you know, I don't look at these and go, ew! Which is a good thing, obviously, with modern day Bandai figures. We do have some close-ups of, speaking of ew, my gosh, this guy has looked awful since he was revealed. And he still looks awful in my opinion. Something about his face is just not right. I can't really pinpoint what it is, but something about his face just does not do it for me. I think the detail on his body is fine. It's just something about that face. And his face, don't get me wrong, looks weird, but it looks weird on purpose because, you know, he's getting thick. So, I don't know. Just kind of weird, to be honest with you. There's a front shot of Frieza. Again, looking pretty good. I like the tone of the purples that they use for those. I think that's pretty nice, too. There's King Cold from the front as well. Also looks pretty good. And there's the boy Kid Buu. We will be seeing a lot more of Kid Buu as we go through this video as well. And we'll be seeing more of King Cold and Mecha Frieza, too. Oh yeah, so here was the phone case, which is pretty funny. Just thought that I'd include that in there, considering it was in the images for these anyway. As you can see, we have all of the superhero figures for Dragon Ball Adverge in the background here. And as you can see, we have the wafer sticker figures right here on display, which all look really good. I'm definitely trying to cop the Gammas and this one, which is really cool with them back-to-back, obviously a reference to the movie poster. And as you can see, obviously, the different characters here. I believe this orange Piccolo, yeah, is not the same as this one. You can see the head of him right down there, right? So they made a smaller orange Piccolo to kind of go in line with these, right? Which is really cool. And obviously, this would be like orange Piccolo when he's fighting Gamma 2 in the, what would that be? Well, when Orange, like, first awakens, basically, in the movie. He's that size, obviously, and then later on he gets giant. And it's cool because obviously this shot is a reference to that Toriyama piece of art where he's walking forward, right? I think that's definitely a cool little nod right there. And then, of course, they had to put the boy Gohan up on the pedestal. Definitely gonna cop that Gohan Beast at some point, absolutely. I would actually love to get all of these because I really love superhero. But I digress. Obviously, Gohan does not increase in size, so it's kind of cool that they made this giant orange Piccolo. And as well, they have the Cell Max as well. As you can see, these guys are premium Bandai figures because they do have the premium Bandai logo on there. I don't know if these are going to come stateside for premium Bandai. I mean, if we look on the premium Bandai website right now, I assume that they're not going to be on there. Yeah, it's just Pan and Broly are the only two things. Hi, Kirby. You look so funny trapped in that box. But anyway, so you might have to import these if you really want to get these. But I would love to have a little setup with Orange Piccolo and Cell Max and Gohan Beast. I think that would be pretty cool. We do also have some more pictures from the Jump Fest set. Now, why these are so stinky quality, I'm not really sure. But we do have some images that you can see. We've seen these guys a couple of times, though. Trunks, however, we will get some cleaner images in a minute here. But these do look pretty good. Here's Piccolo. Again, this guy also looked very good from the get-go, and I'm happy to see that he still looks really, really good now with, obviously, the special beam cannon. Definitely a very nice looking figure. I'm excited to get him. And Goku and Vegeta. I still think Goku's face looks a little bit weird, but Vegeta I think looks pretty good. Obviously the lighting on this is not that great, but you kind of get the picture. Here is the Trunks in good quality. Whew! These guys look good. I am very, very excited to get my hands on these. These look so cool. I will say something about Trunks' eyebrows here do look a little bit weird. It's almost like they have an indent above his eyebrows. But man, these guys do look pretty good, if I do say so myself. Definitely liking the look of these for sure. Yeah. Okay, so I guess it's just this like weird line here. Trunks' mouth also looks a little bit weird there. But yeah, definitely pretty cool. Obviously, I like this figure a lot. I think I'm still going to go with the base form one. I've been kind of debating it. It's weird. Like, we've been getting these, like, Trunks figures that are, like, the base form and then the Super Saiyan one for a while now. And low-key, I've almost been more, like, usually, you know, wanting to get the base form ones, which is kind of interesting. That's even the case with the BOJACK movie one, too. I'm not sure why, but I just like the base form look for Trunks, I guess. Okay, so this is our last thing for DBZ figures before we go to Baggy's Twitter here. This is the release for January of 2023. This is everything that is going to be releasing in Japan from, of course, the Jump calendar. We have the funny Piccolo, aka Potential Unleashed Piccolo. This figure and this color are definitely not bad. It just definitely looks like Puke in terms of the color, like, palette, right? But I like this guy. I'm definitely going to try and cop this figure, I think, because I would like to get this guy with the DXF Gohan Beast, because I do have regular Piccolo and Gohan. I still have to review them. I just got them in semi-recently, actually. We, of course, have the Gohan and the Goku in base form for the Super Retsuden. This one is such a mouthful. The Dragon Ball Z Super Warriors Battle Retsuden 3 Volume 3. Such a mouthful, bro. Obviously, these figures are really, really good. We've taken a look at these guys multiple times. I think I'm going to get the Gohan in the base form for this one and the Super Saiyan Goku for this one, even though both of them would work. And obviously, Trunks, they do come out this month as well. And the boy Kid BUU, which I'm also very, very excited for. Again, we will see more pictures of him as we go through. And the Ichiban Kuji for the Gohan, the Piccolo, and these guys, right? They will be coming out a little bit later in the US. If we go up to Gohan here, you can see that on Big Bad Toy Store, these guys don't come out till April. So this is like the actual Japanese release of these figures. And I actually forgot about these guys. Thankfully, I pre-ordered them a while ago, so I don't have anything to worry about. But the SH Figuarts Gamma 1 and 2 also come out this month. These will be being shipped out. Unfortunately, I can't pre-order these guys anymore, so if you want them, you're going to have to get them secondhand. But we'll definitely be doing a video on these two when I get them. I am pretty excited to get my hands on these, and as well, the Gohan heads as well. Pretty cool. Yeah, these guys... Yeah, I was going to say, it'll just take us back here. I was going to say, there's no way that it actually, like, you know, takes us there because, oh, okay, Myth Factory has them. Because obviously the premium Bandai website is not selling them anymore. All right, so we are now moving on to Baggy's Twitter. Thank you so much to gbzfigures.com, of course, for always holding it down with the figure news. Link to them in the description below. And, of course, there'll be a link to Baggy's Twitter down there as well. Alright, so we got some multi-angles for all of the upcoming prize figures that we talked about in the video with Gohan Beast. By the way, did want to note that Goku is 11 centimeters and Frieza is 10. We have some really cool production images with a little bit of editing in the background, and then we have some basic ones where it's just a gray background. I do want you to keep in mind with this size thing, right, because I know this may be a turn-off for some people with the size of this. The thing that I want you to keep in mind is that obviously these guys are not only scrunched up, but they're also sideways, right? They're not like standing up and down. So even though that is still pretty small, to be honest with you, they're not like as small as you'd think, because obviously they're going to be taller horizontal rather than vertical because of the pose that they're in, right? But these guys do look really good. I am actually really excited to get my hands on these. I think these look really, really cool. Actually, funny enough, I almost tend to like Frieza better than Goku, I feel like, in some of these figures, but I almost like Goku a lot better in these ones, if I'm being honest with you. These do look cool, though. I really like these production images where they add the backgrounds. But here are the basic ones of the highest quality ones that we have at the moment. Goku definitely looks really, really good. I like the facial expression that they gave him. It's cool that they have some, like, this has more shadows to it, and this one's just more, like, light in general, like, kind of splashed onto the figure. These look really good, to be honest with you. I like these a lot. I think the expression is very dynamic for both of them, right? I really like Goku's sort of intense eyes and, like, the, you know, the pupils being a little bit smaller, because I think it definitely makes it feel like a lot more of an intense scene. These guys are very, very cool. I definitely like these figures a lot. I will say Frieza's eyes, funny enough, on the contrast are very big. I feel like maybe they should be a little bit smaller. I don't know. Definitely not bad, though, and I really, really like these guys for sure. Excited to get my hands on them, absolutely. We have the cool production images for Gohan Beast here. This, that looks super sick. Listen, I know I was talking about in that initial video that I'm not the biggest fan of the face, right, on this guy. And I still think that that's true. However, that does look really sick. I ain't even gonna front with you, right? That does look pretty cool. I don't know why they chose this background, even though it does look cool, right? With this weird, like, space background. It's so weird. I don't know, but it is pretty cool. And this definitely gives you a good idea of that hair, bro. Oh my gosh. Listen, as much as I think this figure has some problems, I think the hair is definitely not one of them. They definitely did not skimp out on giving this man the giant Gohan Beast hair from the movie. That is pretty exciting. I will say it is weird. Like, the bang looks very curved here, but here it looks like super straight. That must just be the angle that they're, you know, like, kind of showing it from. But yeah, I'm glad that they didn't skimp out on the hair for the boy. And this was another thing that I wanted to point out that was a good point that Baggy made. The first figure of a new form is always going to be pretty generic, right? This kind of happens a lot of the time when Dragon Ball characters get new forms. The first couple figures are, like, very basic, right? But I want you to keep in mind that this figure is 6 months away, right? This was from the May 2023 production image gang. So by that time, we should definitely have some more interestingly posed Gohan Beast figures. Because obviously, since we get this information so many months forward in advance, by the time that this guy comes out, we will probably have a bunch of other Gohan Beast figures coming up down the pipeline. Not to mention, we will talk about the Ichiban Kuji ones a little bit in this video. But in terms of the prize figures, obviously, we should have a couple more by then. So keep an eye out for those. It would be amazing if, like, GX Materia or BOS decided to make a figure of Gohan Beast. But yeah, this is just something I wanted to keep in mind. Definitely don't pre-order this guy, I would say. I mean, unless you're me and you're like a crackhead. But, like, you know, I would say for the average consumer, and especially, you know, if you just want like a Gohan Beast figure or something, I would just say wait a little bit on this guy for sure. Moving on from that, we do have the multi-angle clean production images here for the boy. Again, I think he does look pretty good. I definitely am going to cop this figure, I think, for sure. This is a really nice shot. I'm not going to lie. I really like when they do these shadow shots. They're very cool. Here's the Solid Edgeworks Trunks. Obviously, this is the one from the BOJACK movie, which is really exciting because obviously we never get figures of this guy. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm going to get the base form one. I just really like the look of the base form hair with this one. It's just super raw. I really like Super Trunks, but I do have like another Super Trunks figure. Obviously, the hair is a little bit different in this movie than it is for, you know, regular, like, actual Super Trunks, because this is more like Super Saiyan Trunks. Maybe this is more like Super Saiyan grade 3 or 4 kind of thing. But anyway, a couple more images of the boy. I will say, right, I definitely think that with this figure, I did see someone else point out that his neck is a little bit short. I do kind of agree with that. There is another thing that I did note with, oh, look at that. There is another thing that I did note with this guy, especially from this close-up here. And it does look like there's a little bit of gapping when it comes to the hair. I hope that they fix that for the final figure. Ironically enough, they have actually been doing a pretty decent job of fixing the final product when it comes to gapping lately, even though Bandai has a bunch of quality control issues. So I'm hoping that that tends to remain the same for that figure. We did have the battle pack released for the Dragon Stars line. Definitely loving the Fenyo art here. Very, very cool. Obviously, these guys look a little bit silly, but of course, you know, they're the Dragon Stars figures with the different figures and effects and stuff like that. This back art of this box is really, really cool. It's such a shame that, like, this is such good art, and it's probably just going to be thrown away. Also, something interesting that I actually didn't even notice here is that they actually call this Super Saiyan Blue Goku. I'm surprised that they don't call this Super Saiyan, a God Super Saiyan. I almost said Super Saiyan Blue Super Saiyan. Because obviously they tend to kind of call this form that in the official media. Interesting. I just don't think I've ever seen that like on a box before. That's cool. Alright, so we do have some finals of these guys. Obviously, these are the more production-esque finals where we kind of saw the IRL finals from Jump Festa. Very cool with the raindrops, I will say. But again, even with this figure, you can see the same kind of thing that it was with Gohan's face, where he almost has like this duck bill beak mouth, like this little like snout almost with his mouth. I don't know. I'm definitely going to have to see some more like some more finals with people who have him in person, taking pictures of him to kind of see that angle for sure, because right now that looks a little bit weird. We do have Gohan, which again, I think he looks better than he initially did in my opinion. I like the expression, I like the form, I like the proportions here. I think he looks pretty good. The only thing maybe his hair is a little bit big, but I mean, it's Dragon Ball. They have ridiculously big hair, you know. Now, oh boy, we're going to get to that in a minute, but here is King Cold and Mecha Frieza. Again, I think they look pretty good. I don't really have any complaints with these guys. I just think that they're very basic, right? And then, of course, we have Funny Cell. Again, I like the sculpting on this guy, but gosh, that face, not doing it for me, if I'm being honest with you. This guy's a massive skip for me, personally. Yeah, so, this was the thing that was a little bit... right, a little bit silly. Obviously, this is the size comparison that is accurate, right, to the manga, because obviously this is right out of the Dragon Ball manga with King Cold and Mecha Frieza. And as you can see for the figure, yeah, that is not even close. Obviously, he is up to his chest here, and Frieza is up to basically like his thighs, right, in this initial image here. Now, here's the thing, right? I understand that the reason why this is like this is because of the scale of the figures, right? Obviously, the scaling usually for... because scale is kind of a weird thing when we're talking about Ichiban Kuji figures, because figures have like a normal scale, like 1/6 scale or 1/8 scale, right? Which is supposed to be the size compared to the actual height of the figure. So like, you know, 1:1 scale would be like, you know, if Goku's 5'7" or whatever, then it would be like a figure that's 5'7" tall. But if it's like 1/8 scale, then it would be 1/8 of, you know, 5'7", right? But with scale, when it comes to Ichiban Kuji figures, we're kind of talking about a little bit of a different thing, because the scale between the figures in the same line is usually pretty similar, and a lot of the time between the Kuji figures they tend to be the same, but not always. And not to mention, when it comes to this sort of thing, right, I am just surprised that they didn't scale these guys to be more accurate, and then they could have charged more for King Cold. Because what they could have done easily, right, is that they could have made Frieza this size and then made King Cold a Masterlize extra figure, and then just made him bigger, because with his size comparison, he could have easily been a Masterlize extra figure, and I feel like that would have also been more incentive to get him, because then obviously he would have been so much bigger. So, I don't know, it's kind of a shame, right? They did this, I know this guy said they did this with 16 too. With Android 16 for the Androids Ichiban Kuji that we had a little while ago, they did that with him too. He is nowhere near the size he should be compared to the Androids, right? Compared to 17 and 18. they are absolutely so much shorter than he is because he's like a giant, right? And they did that with those figures too. So I don't know. It's kind of a shame that they're not really keeping to the source material because I know for some people this may not be a big deal, but accuracy is what you're looking for when it comes to these figures, and this is definitely not it. Alright, so we have some factory confirmations. I am shocked, honestly, for this one. As you can see here, Solid Edgeworks Trunks and the Matchmakers Goku and Frieza to be made in China. So, they should basically turn out the way that they look now. And Gohan Beast is being made in Vietnam. Very interesting. If you're unfamiliar, I talk about this a little bit in the figure news videos, but essentially, Vietnam before was kind of notorious for pumping out these figures not really looking how the original production images do. I mean, Bandai does that a lot of the time too, even with the figures that are made in China. But the figures that are made in China tend to be a lot closer to their original production images, while the figures in Vietnam look a little bit different. They have been getting better about it recently. They have definitely been coming out a lot better quality, to be honest with you. But it is interesting because Baggy does note here, right? Solid Edgeworks has been switched to China and DXF has been switched to Vietnam. These two figure lines switched. Maybe Solid Edgeworks is just doing better, so they were like, all right, give it to the big boys. I don't really know the reason why, but that is, you know, just really interesting to me that they decided to flip those, especially considering this is the first Gohan Beast prize figure. You would think that they would want to use the, you know, like, people who make it the best. I don't know. It's just kind of very interesting, right? Like the, you know, the employees that make the figure as close to the original image as possible. But I don't know. Very interesting decision there on Bandai's part. And by the way, Matchmakers and DXF due for mid-May in Japan, and Trunks is due in late May. I'm sure that obviously when we get around that time of year, we will talk about them being released at that time. But yeah, very interesting. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this in the comment section below. Definitely let me know what you think of this one, because I am very curious to hear what you have to say. So these are some ratios for the Trunkses here. As you can see, very interestingly enough, the A figure, which is the base form Trunks, right, is going to be 16 to Soars and 24 for the Super Saiyan 1. Interesting that the Super Saiyan 1 is so much more. I am kind of surprised about that, to be honest with you, that they're not more equal. But, I mean, I guess that makes sense because, you know, Super Saiyan characters tend to be a little bit more powerful. Or powerful. I mean, that's true. A little bit more popular is what I meant to say. Okay. So, let's talk about this. Obviously, I did make a figure news, breaking news video, right, for this when it was initially shown off. Of course, the very first Ichiban Kuji Gohan Beast, right? This is the May Ichiban Kuji for next year. Why both the Gohan Beasts are coming out in May, I'm not really sure. Why they just decided, yep, May is Beast Month, I don't really know. And again, literally a year after the movie comes out, basically. I don't get it, man. I don't understand Bandai. I've been doing this for so long, and even I still don't get these really wacky business decisions they decide to make. But nonetheless, we do have, of course, Gohan being the prize A figure. We do have Piccolo being the prize B figure. We do have Cell Max as the prize C figure. And this was kind of out of left field, if I'm being honest with you. But Super BUU as the prize F figure. And then prize D is Gotenks for the Super Saiyan version. Prize E is base form Gotenks. And the last one version of this figure is a Gohan Beast. So, real quick thoughts on this one, because obviously I give my more detailed thoughts, and I'll kind of regurgitate a little bit of what I say in that video, but obviously I go a little bit more in depth into it. Cell Max or Piccolo are not King Cluster figures, so they are not going to be giant, which is a real shame, because obviously I would have loved these guys to be absolutely huge, especially Cell Max. I was kind of anticipating him being a King Cluster figure, if I'm being honest with you, but he is going to be 28 centimeters, which I believe, yes, in this tweet right here, right, he is basically going to be the size of a Grandista figure, which, granted, isn't small by any stretch of the imagination, right? The Grandista figures are still fairly decently sized, but obviously it's not King Cluster big, right? Or Masterlize extra big. So, I don't know. It's just kind of a shame that they didn't make this guy bigger, because I feel like that's such a missed opportunity. Maybe what they're going to do is they're going to bamboozle us and make this guy a regular Masterlize figure, and then later on they're going to release a King Cluster version. Then all the people who bought this one will be sad, like me. But I don't know. I guess we'll get to see when the time comes for that. The other unfortunate thing about this Ichiban Kuji is, obviously for the prize A, right? Gohan is doing whatever this attack is supposed to be. One-handed Kamehameha, I don't really know. Because obviously this isn't an attack that appears in the movie, right? This almost kind of reminds me of Dragon Ball Legends with Gohan doing his LF, where he just does a Kamehameha if you don't actually finish off the opponent rather than the Masenko. But the thing that is really unfortunate about this, and it's kind of a toss-up for me for this one, right? Because I always say that I prefer last one prize figures in Ichiban Kuji, because those are obviously the most rare, they have the least amount of those figures, and they tend to be the most expensive in the aftermarket because they're not in just a regular lineup, right? I always like those to be either just a recolor or a glossy version, right? Which is what this figure is. You can see that the hair is a little bit more shiny and the color palette is slightly different than the Prize A one. However, the last one version is the one that they give the Masenko to. Obviously, you can see that Gohan's hands are in the special beam cannon pose. And not to mention his face, I feel like looks a little bit better. The eyes are a little bit more intense, a little bit smaller. Rather than with the Prize A figure, they're bigger. And they have this weird like cock to the side thing where it almost kind of looks like this figure is just looking straight at the camera. So it's a little bit of a toss-up for me on this one, because on one hand, I'm glad it's just the same figure. But on the other hand, this is obviously the one that people are going to want more, because of course, like, they want the move that he did in the movie. So why would you want the one with his hand open? I don't know. It's just kind of silly, because this figure is going to be so much more expensive for literally just a different hand piece and a little bit of a different facial expression, right? And obviously the glossy hair. Also, I will say that Bang definitely looks a little bit weird. I didn't really notice it in that initial video, but his Bang looks very strange. It looks like very fat. It's not as like long as I feel like it should be, but maybe we'll have to wait and see what the final image is on those guys. But yeah, the other thing is, keep in mind, these are also going to be really expensive for Ichiban Show, aka those of us in the US, because remember, the figures have been going up and up in price. I mean, King Cold, right? This guy and Frieza, I believe he's like $75, and he's not even like a big figure. He's a regular Masterlize figure, right? So the prices for those have been going up and up. I cannot, you know, even be surprised if these guys cost like $100 each. I will not be shocked. I'll be disappointed for sure, but definitely not shocked. I will say I am almost more excited than anything about Super BUU, which is so weird, but like, just because we never get Majin Buu figures, so it's nice to be able to get some more. And I don't think we've gotten a Super BUU in a really long time, to be honest with you. So definitely very cool to be able to get him. The other thing I wanted to note about this Ichiban Kuji, where did he go? Hello? Is it here? Ah, yes. Okay. This one, right? I definitely think that these two Gotankses, right? First of all, very strange that this guy, 17 centimeters, is smaller than these two, right? Which is kind of goofy. Besides that, funny enough, I see this person saying that, you know, that the sculpt looks better on this one, right? Maybe if the head is tilted, I feel like the head is maybe on a little bit wrong. It definitely looks a little bit like off-center to me. But the Master Stars Peace one, maybe I could see that. Obviously, this picture is not very clear, but I still think the Master Stars Peace one holds up pretty good today, even though his chest definitely looks a little bit weird. I still like this figure, personally, and I think I would definitely prefer this one over the Ichiban Kuji one, if I'm being honest with you. However, with the base form head for this figure, I absolutely agree. That I think that the face sculpt is probably better on the Kuji one, because I never really liked the base form head for this one. However, the Super Saiyan head, I think, is really good. And this person also notes, I think this is a really big, like, reason why that these figures are better, right? For the Grandista one, he costs 15 to 20 bucks and came with 2 heads. Like I just said, this guy came with the Super Saiyan head variant, or not variant, came with a Super Saiyan head in the box, rather, excuse me, and then also came with this base form head, right? And this guy, this new Ichiban Kuji figure, is going to be upwards of $50, right? That's like lowballing it, probably. So, it's kind of a yikes, to be honest with you. If you want Gotenks figures, I just feel like there's better ones out there for you to kind of take a look at your options. Alright, so the rest of the April Ichiban Kuji info is being sent out, but since Dragon Ball is released for May, right, for this Ichiban Kuji, we may have to wait a few weeks to get the ratios and the Kuji info, etc. My man be waiting. Alright. Oh yeah, quickly we have some more clean production images. These ones are obviously just with the white background rather than the gray background. Nothing too crazy on these, to be honest with you, but just figured I'd show them in there since they're a tiny bit different. And this is also pretty cool. As you can see, these are the January prize figure dates confirmed. So, BUU is going to be coming out on the 11th. The Solid Edgeworks Trunks is going to be coming out on the 19th. And Goku and Gohan are going to be coming out on the 26th. So, when these figures release, I'm sure that we'll be getting some IRL pictures of these bad boys. And when we do, obviously, then we will be able to take a look at them for the figure news video. So that will also be pretty exciting too. Yeah, this was another thing to note, and we'll actually see a little bit of info about this. The price increase happens from here on, so Baggy is very interested to see what the store numbers will be, all things considered. Oh yeah, this is not figure news, but I figured I'd include this. I always like to include one thing that's not figures, but I think it's something that you guys would like. And at Hot Topic, they actually have a bunch of superhero shirts. As you can see here, Orange Piccolo, right? They have this really cool Gohan Beast one with his different forms. We've seen this render a couple times. I'm definitely going to cop this, by the way. I'm literally going to head to Hot Topic and get that. We also have a Cell Max one, and I actually found this because my buddy sent me this one. This really cool Gohan Beast one, which is obviously this pretty used promo art, right? Very, very cool. Definitely going to have to cop those from Hot Topic. And their shirts are about 20 bucks a pop, so they're definitely not too bad. Here's the promotional poster for the DXF Super Saiyan Gohan. Obviously, this figure is not that great, but I figured it would still be good to include the poster in here. I definitely like the way that they've been promoting these figures, though. I definitely like the sort of aesthetic that they've went with for these posters. It's pretty cool. Yeah, this was something that I just wanted to note. As you can see here, right? With the Goku and Frieza next to each other, you can see that not only is that the GX Materia Krillin, but this is the History Box Frieza, right? Look how big he is compared to the Super Master Stars Piece Goku. We've been talking about this Frieza for a couple of figure news videos by now. Wow. He's so small. Like, I knew he was small, but this is just a crazy comparison, to be honest with you. Very, very interesting. I just thought it was worth throwing in there just because I thought it was interesting with the size. As you can see here, we have some arts for the Dragon Ball Evolve figures. The arts on these are always really, really good. So I always like throwing these in there. These are the box arts for this particular set. This is actually pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. We have these store numbers for GGO, right? Or I guess it would be Gigo, rather. We have BUU at 115. My goat. Solid Edgeworks Trunks 104. Piccolo 18. And Retsuden 4. Wow, go BUU. Might be the most GX material they ordered since the first Goku in 2019. Trunks did well too. GGO barely orders Retsuden, so no surprise there. And Piccolo is a reuse. Yeah, that is shocking, honestly, that the boy BUU, my man's getting up in the world, bro. Good for him. You love to see it. There's quite a few orders considering the usual Dragon Ball order numbers as of recent. And I believe this guy is at display at a GeoGeo location. I'm just going to call it GeoGeo because it's just easier to say. No, I don't want it to go to a whole new page. All right, well, this is apparently the one in Akihabara Building 5. as you can see, scheduled to appear on January 11th. I don't know why it decided to open it in a new tab, but whatever, that's fine. Let me get back to the boy here. There we go. So this guy actually looks really good. Obviously, we've seen this guy a few different times now. But I will say, even though his head is not cocked to the side, I feel like they did something to his expression. Because I don't remember his expression looking this good. Like, it looked good the last time that I saw this figure. But I swear it didn't look this close to BUU. Like, this looks even better than I remember, which is great. Because obviously this is going to be the final version of the figure because the figure is already made, right? It's going to be released on the 11th in like 3 days, 2 days, whenever you're watching this video. So I'm hyped. I'm really excited. I think they absolutely nailed his expression. I definitely like this figure a lot. I'm really excited to get my hands on it. The GX material line is like one of the only figure lines that I really look forward to nowadays. So they don't miss, bro. They don't miss. Here is some pictures from the Bam Presto lab. You can see this guy looks very pink in some bright light. Definitely very, very cool looking. Again, I really like the way they turned out. The expression on him is just so good. Oh, I'm really excited about this guy. This guy's really, really cool. We have some final images from the Bam Presto lab of Gohan and Goku. Keep in mind the lighting's a little bit weird, and obviously all these reflections are because they're in like this fish tank, basically, right? Goku looks a little bit weird here, but I think that's because his hair from the angle is like next to his eyes, so it looks like his eyes are a lot bigger than they actually are. And I will say Gohan's head does look a little bit out of place here. Definitely looks a little bit strange attached to his body, but I feel like this is the only picture that I've seen that he kind of looks like that. So I don't know, maybe it's just the angle or something like that. Here are some more high quality images. Yeah, see, look at Goku's eyes look a lot more normal there. You can see that it's just his bangs that were like in his eyeballs, right? Definitely very, very cool. And this looks a lot better for Gohan in my opinion, right? I mean, I can still see how the head would maybe be sticking out a little bit, but it still looks very good. By the way, just a quick note, I see someone in the comments talking about it, so definitely worth mentioning, I feel like. Is there any images of the Super Saiyan version of these figures? And baggy notes, Gohan released a couple months ago. Goku doesn't release until March. Why they didn't release these figures together, who knows? Which is very strange, considering the fact that they released these two in the base form together. But the Super Saiyan one, they released separate. I don't know. Very weird. I definitely want to get Super Saiyan Goku, though, so I'm going to have to wait on that one. We do have the Solid Edgeworks Trunks. Now, this one, I actually need to follow this guy because he posts pictures from Bam Press Lab all the time. This is quite the interesting one because you can see his baggy notes here. The Solid Edgeworks Trunks does have a regular base, not a foot base. So hopefully it stands without it and that the feet aren't pegged. As you can see, a very, very small base there, right? And not only does this guy look good, right? Obviously, these figures look pretty good in my opinion. With this base, right, and there's Trunks' face. Yeah, I definitely like the base form one a little bit better, in my opinion. The other thing that Baggy is talking about here with these pegs, by the way, is that for the feet, what they've been doing sometimes with figures lately is that they've had the pegs on the actual figure itself and not on the stand. So, you can't just take the figure off of the stand and then set it down on the table. Because obviously, you know, if it just had holes in the bottom of the figure, then the feet would just be flat. So hopefully it's just pegs in the stand. Usually they do it that way, but there have been a couple of figures where the pegs have been in the feet, which is always very unfortunate. So this was also pretty crazy too. Kid BUU is currently at 600 plus game stations. Final update will be near when it releases on the 11th, but it could surpass this month's Vegito, that being 769. Don't forget that Kid BUU had the price increase too. I was thinking anything above 500 would be decent, but the boy surpassed that. I think that is also a testament to how little BUU figures we get. Because we get like no Majin BUU figures, bro. The only Kid BUU figure that we've got in the last couple of years is that one Ichiban Kuchi one. And like I said, I was surprised that we were getting the Super BUU figure. So, I don't know. I'm pretty excited for this guy. I think a lot of people definitely are too. This was also a very interesting one. Definitely going to have to see how this plays out going forward. But if you guys remember, there was a superhero BOS figure on the horizon. For some reason, though, on the June release schedule, it has been replaced with the Dragon Ball Z Clear Rise Super Saiyan Trunks. Very interesting that that guy got replaced. We're going to have to see if that figure has been moved back or erased from existence, or if it was an accident or something like that. We will be getting June prize figure images pretty soon, so it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening for that, and what version of Trunks that this actually is, too. Probably going to be future Trunks, but it'll still be interesting to see. And this was another piece of info about the Kuji. Should also start getting Meikuji information from next week. Keep in mind this was posted on the 6th. Ratios, countries, Ichiban show, etc. Once I post the Kuji info, won't be posting much about them other than a couple retweets once they release in Japanese, folks get their hands on them. Yeah. So it makes sense. But yeah, so we'll be getting some info about those a little bit later. This was a nice little note. These guys, the Wafer Stickers 07, release on the 10th in Japan. So that will be pretty cool. Definitely want to get my hands on some of those for sure. And this was also the other thing that I wanted to note. The June Dragon Ball production images should be coming out very soon. This was posted yesterday. And remember, this particular movie, the BOJACK movie Gohan, is going to be a figure in the June production images because he's going to be one of the prize figures. So that will be very exciting to see. That's why Baggy used that GIF there. And of course, as per usual, we always got to hit the final retweet just to see if there's anything brand new. And no, it definitely looks like there is nothing. So we will get some info about these guys, whatever else is going to be in the June, which, I mean, we already know. I just don't remember off the top of my head because it was on the calendar. We covered it a couple videos ago. But this guy, obviously, the movie 9, I believe, is the number in the Dragon Ball Z movies that BOJACK is. The BOJACK movie, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, is going to be a figure in that set of characters that we're going to see as figures. So that will be very exciting. So definitely let me know what was your favorite figure from today's video, and let me know about all of the info that we covered. It is always nice to be back in the saddle again for the Dragon Ball figure news again. I apologize for the long break. It also didn't help that I took a vacation in the middle of it to Florida. I had to take a vacation for Grandma's 80th birthday. Obviously have to celebrate Grandma's 80th birthday, but that did kind of put a wrench in some of my content plans, which obviously I don't mind for Grandma. But we're back in it. Look forward to content coming up. Like I said, I have a bunch of figure unboxings coming up, and not to mention, before any of that, you're going to get to see those top 5 best and worst of 2022, so keep an eye out for that. And I will do a breaking news video on these guys, I think, too, especially considering if we get some kind of superhero thing in here. Of course, I would love to cover that. So definitely keep an eye out for that video. That would be coming within the next couple days, because we're definitely going to get these within the next few days, if not maybe even today, to be honest with you. It always happens where I make these figure news videos and then the new figure releases like immediately afterward. I swear it happens every single time. Bandai knows. They definitely have my house bugged or something like that. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Really, really appreciate it. I will catch you in the next one. Dokkan, it's out. Peace.